Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight. We're looking at Engage Respectfully with Young People. The unit code on that one is CHCYTH013. There are 4 sections to this unit. The first one is effective youth practice. The next one is effective communication. The next section is cultural needs and differences. And the last one to this unit is personal reflection and learning. So those sections will all have questions on them. Now, can we please have a show of hands who has looked at or knows where to find the learner's guide? Good, 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 good. Excellent. So you know about this document? Brilliant document, absolutely brilliant document. Has anybody been in First Access simulated community service organisation? You've done that too? Good, because there will be resources in there for domestic family violence, dependency and addiction, young people at risk, career planning, homelessness and housing, health and wellbeing. That's what that organisation does. So you can find resources and information within that simulated organisation. So good to have a look at if you're stuck. When you're stuck with something, then you've got to research. So this would be the first place that I would research. Going through the learner guide, I went, examples are great. I love an example. To me, give me an example. I just think they're the best things. So there are examples in the learner's guide, and there's also key points. Okay, key points are always good because you always have to put the key points in your work. So remember those. If you see the little symbols that represent those, have a look at them. You've got lots of videos that you can watch also, but Vicky says you do that in your own time. There's no point in me spending time letting you watch videos that you can do in your spare time. So that's really good. We got up to, I think, slide 27 on the slides, but you can also go back and have a look at them. We'll go through the rest of them tonight. But from last week, let's recap on what we believe a youth-centered practice involves. So in the chat, I want you to type in what you believe a youth-centered practice would involve. 1 word, 2 words, doesn't matter. Just what you think, so we can get a gauge on what you believe are youth-centered practices. Because if that's where you're going to work, you need to know these practices. So have a think about that, and in the group chat, just write down 1 or 2 words that you think youth-centered practice involves. Beautiful. Well done, Sky. Good work. Good work. Well done. Good. On page 9 of your learner guide, there is a really good text on working with youth-centered practice with people that have experienced trauma, that show aggressive behaviours, that have experienced bullying. And we know that any of us that have had those things happen to us, they do affect us, and they affect different people in different ways. Now, I'm just going to let some more people in. Bear with me for a moment. Good. I'll just admit those 3 people. All right. Lovely. Okay. So that page 9 is the text is amazing with what we can see and observe in people that young people that are struggling with those issues. So trauma, bullying, aggravated behaviour, and then it came into a young person in crisis too. So they are really good resources. And then you've got an example, which I love the examples. Sometimes the case studies can get a bit monotonous. But if you're doing a case study, it is always good to have a look at the case studies to go, all right, what did they do in this? How did they work that? You know, what have they put into it? What do I need to put into my role plays to make them as good? So you've really got to sometimes have a look at those case studies. And the one on 11 talks about therapeutic crisis intervention, which if you said that to a young person, they'd probably go, I don't know what you're talking about. But you need to know that. And these are really good for your case notes because most of the time you will be doing case notes. All right, so a great book, absolutely great resource. Just about everything you need to know is within that learner guide. So I go, yep, I'll be downloading that one, and I think you're allowed to download it. So I would be downloading it, and that's what I would be using to help me through my assignments. The other one that I really liked was the one that we're going to do a bit of a question on when we go to our breakout room, and that is listening to behaviour. So we'll be having a look at that tonight in our breakout room. How many people have actually started their assignments? Could I see a show of hands if possible? Good, Jay. Love that. All right, so you have started. Well done. Who hasn't started yet? All the rest of you? All right. Okay. Well, this is the last session on this particular unit. So I go, oh, if that's the last session and next Tuesday I'm going to start talking about something else, I would seriously suggest you have a look at some of the assignments and just see what you need so that you can then do them. You get 3 chances. Nobody else gives you 3 chances. I've never known any RTO to give you 3 chances. And I think that we're even lenient with that if you're on the right track and you just needed a little bit more support. So I think that is absolutely amazing. There's no point in doing something if you don't finish it. You have to put in the work to be able to get those 3 chances though, but that's a good thing. It really is. So that's definitely a plus for this institute, which is really good. All right. So you know that there's 4 sections to it, and there'll be questions throughout it on all of them. I don't think they will break them up into bits, so it makes it easier for you. I think there will be questions all through. Now you have quizzes. How's everybody going with the quizzes? They give you 3 chances with the quizzes. So it's like, oh, missed that one. Oh, got to do question 5 again. You come back, you do question 5, or do you have to do them all again, or do they change?
You get to redo it.
And is it the same? So the same questions?
Yeah.
Easy as. Most of them in a quiz, they will go, oh, you've got question 5 wrong, but now we're going to change all the questions and you need to answer new questions. So if they keep the questions the same, easy as. Couldn't get easier than that. So that's really good, even though you have to sit down and still put that time in to make that work. Right. So your learner guide can't tell you how important it is enough. So always have a look at that learner guide. It is. I looked at it and went, this is what you need to do this properly. This is what you need. How many role plays are in this unit? 3. So if we have a look, they've got role play 1, role 2, role 3, and there is part A and part B in those role plays. So there's sections to it. At the end of this session, I will get you to, if anybody wants to do role plays, I can do role plays next Tuesday. Yeah, and apparently there's a few people that are waiting to do role plays. But I go, if you're going to do the role play, it's really good to have finished the work first, because that's all your lead up to that role play. So if you can get most of your stuff done before the role play, is there a restriction that you have to finish your work before you do the role play? For my students, no. Oh, okay. All right. That makes it a little bit harder because I go, you need the information before you can actually sit down and do a role play. So Yeah, make sure you understand what the role plays are. And if you book in with me to do a role play, and I've put my address in the chat. Can people see that? My address in the, right, I'm just going to let these people in. All right. Can everybody see that my address is in the chat? No. Okay, let me put it in again. I must have been too quick. It's very similar to Vicky's, but with with the C. Okay. All right. So that's me. If you email me, I will get that. And if you can do next Tuesday, I will make sure that I'm available for you to do it. If you have somebody else at your place of residence or wherever you're going to do it that can do it with you, well and good. If you need me to be the other role in that, let me know. Next Tuesday. Good, Sky. Well done. Excellent. Sky, what time would you like?
Sorry, anytime after 3 is fine with me. Northern Territory 3, so like your 3:30.
Oh, okay, doll. So what would 1 o'clock be there? Sorry, Sky.
I will not be available next Tuesday before 2 p.m. because I'm traveling remote.
Okay. All right. Do you want to do it the Tuesday after that?
No, because I will be in a remote community with no internet or cellular.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that
For
out,
3
Sky.
days.
We'll make sure that you do those role plays and that gets done, though, at some stage or other. But we know that you want to do them. So that's cool. All right. Good. Almost ready to do them. All right. Now, nobody else I need to let in. Very good. All right. So I want you all to have a look at your learner's guide. To me, if you haven't had a look at them, for every unit that you do, you should, because there's things in them that you need to know. And if you can get it from that without doing too much other research, to me, that's quick and easy. Good thing to do. All right. So I am going to bring up the PowerPoints because I would like to put you in breakout rooms at about 6:30. So I'm just going to go through our PowerPoint. So bear with me. Just going to bring that up. And I'm going to put it onto, I think we got to 27 with Vicky. So I'm going to go to, okay. Right, now I'm going to put that down there and I'm going to share my screen there and share. All right, can you all see that PowerPoint? Thank you, Sophie. Well done. You're the only head that I can see there, so thank you. That's good. All right, so we were building relationships. And I'm just going to see if I can move it over a bit. Okay. All right, so we were building relationships, and this is what this unit is basically all about, is trying to build relationships with young people. Now, when they're in trauma or they have crisis or they're in distress, that communication is really difficult, really difficult. So what we're trying to do with the young people is, with all these things, use it like a clock. So we're going to try and build rapport. We've got to be respectful. It doesn't matter who we're speaking to, actually, adults or young people. We build rapport. We make sure that we respect. We make sure that we don't overpower them and make them feel inferior to us. We make sure there's boundaries put in place. And when we do all that, that builds that trust. So it's very, very, very important that we do build that trust. All right. Now, everybody still see it? Good, I haven't got rid of it. Well done. All right. Now, there's requirements to that. It's okay, we do trust, we do rapport, and we have boundaries, but what are they? So if we have a look, rapport has to be done at an age-appropriate level. So there's no point in asking academic questions to a young person. They won't understand you. They'll think that you're overpowering them with things that they don't know. So you've got to make your questions appropriate for the age of that child. And then also you've got to think about the development stages of that young person too. All right. Boundaries are always there. Boundaries with language, boundaries with social media, and that's building up a bit of controversy with what the government is trying to do at the moment, which is a world first, which I think is pretty cool. And then you've also got time that you have to spend with supervisors and people like that you need to debrief with. So your boundaries are very, very important, especially with young people. What about our trust? Being reliable, being there for them on a daily basis, being honest with them, consistent with our words. So if we talk a certain way and then we change it, young people get confused. But you said it like this the other day, you know, and they try to work it out, but it's very, very hard to do. With respect, we're looking at their needs. What are some of the things that they need in their lives at this time that I can be able to give them? So that will change depending on your role, but very, very important that we develop trust, build rapport, have those boundaries in place. We are respectful at all times, even when we are challenged, because that's when it's really going to get difficult, when kids are acting up, to say, but they're usually acting up. There's a reason behind it, why they're doing that. And make sure that you don't overpower them. All right. Now, Haslow's hierarchy of needs. Have you all heard about that? Okay. Our psychological needs, safety needs, love and belonging, esteem needs, self-actualization. Most people don't reach that in their lifetime. We do try to strive for that, but it's not the be-all and end-all. We have to be comfortable with ourselves. And if we're comfortable and true to ourselves, we can begin to move into that self-actualization. But your psychological needs, with his hierarchy of needs, the bottom one was food, shelter, water, clothing, and things like that. Now, if your young people haven't got that bottom layer, they can't progress to the next layer. So always remember that we need to build their resources and build them up so that they're able to cope with the things that are going to happen to them. And there will be things happen to them. Now, we don't need to do the videos because you watch them in your own time. So if we recap that session from last week, our learnings, our homework, give you homework, and whatnot, it's about being respectful, boundaries, trust. So remember all of those. When you're writing in your notes and you're answering questions, remember those words. Put those words in, and that shows that you have understood. All of these things go together to make that young person feel comfortable with you. And if you don't build rapport with them right at the start, it is hard to nurture your way back in there. So be careful with that. So let's have a look at the next section that we're going to do. I've got 10 minutes. So effective communication. That tells you what you're going to learn at the end of it. But in your resource folder, you have a lot more information on communication and using communication as it's your biggest asset. It is your greatest tool to be able to use communication to speak to young people and make them feel comfortable. It is one of the greatest assets that you could possibly have. Communication skills. Okay, so we need to think about what we're going to say, because sometimes in the heat of the moment, we may respond poorly. So we have to think before we respond. And that is sometimes really hard to do. But we also have to listen, and listening is such a big deal. And it's a big deal because if we don't listen in a way that is active, we don't hear what they say. We hear bits and pieces of it, but we don't actually hear the big story. So think before you speak, respond in a way that is respectful. The same words are used over and over again, but really listen. It's an essential part of your work. You're doing it constantly. You are always going to be speaking with these young people, unless you're singing with them, which is even better. But listening without limits, as they talk about it, is like showing empathy to that young person, even though they may be grating up against you. You've got to have empathy with them, their situation. If they're in a residential house, a lot of things have happened to them, and you must be respectful of that, and know that you will be working with someone who can fall into crisis at any time and be triggered. So always listening. And we're going to, in the breakout room, we're going to have a look at listening to behaviours. If you've got young children and something's gone wrong, something hasn't gone right, and you can hear them and something's happening and you know it's happening, and you go in and go, what's going on? You sometimes can miss the behaviour. So sometimes it's good to walk into that situation and just observe. And that will be one of your key points with reporting, is to observe what is happening and be very factual. But in the same time, don't bring your biases into it. And we'll talk about them a little bit later too. All right, stages and ages with communication. So different development stages in young people are different with everyone. We all learn in different ways. Who is a visual learner? Hands up, the visual learners. Who is an auditory learner? And then others can be kinetic, where they have to write everything down. I do all three. If I don't see it, I don't hear it, and I don't write it down, I didn't get it. I have to do all three to be able to do it. Usually I'm visual, but I do like to cement that by hearing it and then writing it down. It helps you to be able to understand it in a better way. So age doesn't always say, oh, at this age, you should be able to communicate like this. That's not necessarily the case, especially with trauma, because of what can happen within the body. And I'll go into that in a minute too. So trauma has a big effect on people, and it affects our communication. How many of us in a situation have frozen? We can't speak. We wanted to, thank you, John. We wanted to, but we just couldn't. Something stopped us from doing that. It's our central nervous system, okay? And it shoots out all these chemicals in our body, and it gives us a reaction. Yeah. So our reaction can be different in everyone. We can all have the same situation and all feel differently in that situation. When we freeze, we can sometimes get angry at ourselves for freezing. When we go into fight mode, we can get angry with ourselves with that. And if we flight, if we take off, we can sometimes regret that too. But whatever happens to us in that instance, we need to be able to, as a support worker, record that, but then also understand, okay, something has triggered that young person. They've gone into flight mode and they've taken off. They want to escape whatever it was, because that's the only control that they've got, is to remove themselves from it. Some of them will fight because they think that's the only control that they've got. Or the bad behavior, throwing things, swearing, all that sort of stuff. It helps them, and it probably has been a protective factor for them in their life. So yelling and swearing has sometimes been something that has been able to put a barrier between that young person and whoever else. Some people won't be able to handle it, and then they usually walk away from them. What we need to do as support workers is go, what is actually happening to you at the moment? What's making you feel like this? And display this type of aggression. So we need to answer, we need to ask some questions, quite open questions, and acknowledge their feelings in that space. We all get grumpy. We all can lash out when we shouldn't have. But when you're working in that position, it is not feasible for you to remove yourself from that client. You usually have to stay with them, because if they're in a heightened state, they will need you. Even though they might tell you to go, that they will need you. So you need to be aware of that and able to control your emotions to be able to deal with theirs. Now, so if we have a look, communicating based on development stages. Now, that will depend on who you're actually working with. So the appropriate language for a young person, as I said, wouldn't be academic speaking. It will be down-to-earth words that they can relate to. Active listening and participation is a big deal, absolute big deal, because when you're recording something that a young person has done, you've got to make sure it's factual. So you need to listen to what they're saying and observe their behaviours. So when you're writing your reports, you need to make sure that you have actively listened to what that client has said, what that young person has said. There's got to be empathy there, because otherwise you could get angry. And that happens. So we need to empathise. This kid's been through a lot of trauma at the moment. He was triggered by this, or she was triggered by this. And this is a result. They've got angry because that's their go-to. And then they've broken something or done whatever. Usually when we get angry, we're usually sorry that we've done it, but we've got to learn not to do it. And that's hard for kids. That is really hard for kids. There's examples in your learners book for this, and be open and honest. Most kids are very switched on and will know if you are lying to them or hiding something from them. They're very clever with things like that. If you've got children, look at your own children. Have you tried to hide something from them, and then the next thing they're asking you about that? All right, so they hear more than what they let on. All right, so communication impairments. So there might be a speech impediment, stuttering, for example, that the child doesn't want to speak to you because it takes them a long time to find their words, get them out, and that's frustrating for them. And then it's frustrating for the support workers too, because we're trying to get the information out of them, but they can't give it to us. So we have to be very patient in that. Their voice, our tone of voice, what we say and how we say it is very important, very important. When someone is being sarcastic to you, you got an idea that they're being sarcastic. When they're being angry at you, you got an idea that that's what's happening, because you can hear it in their voice. When people are genuine, you can hear that in their voice too. The other part of communication that might stop young people from engaging is comprehending what you've just said. So be very careful with your wording with young people. You don't need to give them things that they don't understand, because that's just going to confuse them. So be careful with how you know that they comprehend what you're saying. So to overcome that, we would ask for feedback. What do you feel about that? How does that make you feel? Or it could be something like, do you understand what I'm saying there? And if it's yes or no, then you still might have to get clarification that they do understand what you're actually saying to them. So very, very important, very important. Other communication factors. Trauma, as we said, is a big part, because that can have developmental delays. It affects more than just young children, but young children can't understand it. As we get older, we understand trauma more, some of us do. And that sort of helps us get over trauma. Not completely, but it helps us understand what was happening to our body at the time, because our body's the best guide for if we are in trauma, because there's things that the body will do, and that can have a profound effect on us. It could also be that experiencing delays, cultural differences, body language gestures. Kids will pick up on your body language. Absolutely pick up on your body language. And as I said, if you've got kids, you only have to stand there and look at them. Oh, I'm getting the evil eye now, you know. So you have to be careful with what you do. So and how you display yourself in a time of someone else's crisis. So staying calm, reasonably relaxed, but still on guard for what needs to be done. All right. So consider when there is a language barrier and it is a cultural barrier, then look at interpreters. Now, your workplace will have interpreters, maybe translators. They might even have people working there that have that language skill. So very, very important to do that if your young person is of a different culture and they do not understand what you are saying. So very important to make sure that we keep our language responses to that young person, for that young person, to make sure that they understand what we're trying to do, because we have to understand everything that they're going through. So we have to make sure that we match what we're saying with the kindness that needs to be done. With English as a second language, having two languages and maybe using two languages at home can be a bit confusing, but the younger you are, the better you learn language. So I go, teach your 3-year-olds another language. All right. Now, learners wanting First Nations, yes. So with these videos, please be aware that they may show people that have passed on. So make sure that you're aware of that. All right, so points of view. These are good points, and I want you to remember them when you are doing your answers to your work. So listen, think, what's happening in the relationship, their culture, their background history, and their perception of the world. They might think every adult is one of those adults that can't be trusted. And then you've come into their space and they still believe that. So you've got to turn that around and make sure that you can get people to just let a couple more people in, that you can talk to them in a way that is going to be respectful for them. All right, I think I've got everybody in. All right, got some latecomers. Good work, well done. All right, I'm just going to get out of that. Oops. All right, so can everybody still see the slide that disappeared on me for a minute? All right, now your activity. So we're going to go into the breakout rooms. But what I want you to do in the breakout rooms is, and I think it's, you don't have to go in if you don't want to, but we were talking about the atomic nervous system of the body and what that does to us. When we have our survival response kicks in, the biochemicals within our body and the little kids, it happens to all of us, so it happens to all humans. We get this flood of adrenaline and cortisol. Now, if you look up those two biochemicals, you will see what it does to the human body. And with little kids, they didn't want it, they didn't ask for it. It just happens to them. So that's like, bam, there you go. Here's all this adrenaline. And what does that do to us? So you can imagine them running around, moving things. And it just heightens us. And it's for survival instincts. It's to make sure that we get blood to our legs and we run like crazy, like we were supposed to. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing for the minute. Okay, very good. Excellent. I've got nobody waiting. All right, good. All right. So, yes, Grace. That is the trauma one. Well done. All right. So we know that our survival responses are freeze, fight, flight responses. There's others, but we'll only use those three for the moment. So you can imagine a child that has just had all this adrenaline come into their bodies and they're not sure what they're going to do with it. So they're confused at that stage. So very important. If you've ever been in the freeze, and I think somebody put their hand up for that, the fight or the flight, you know what it feels like to have that happen to you. Most of the kids don't understand what is happening to them, which is why they have a hard time trying to figure it out. And I can't blame them, because it is hard to figure out. But once we have recognized those feelings in our bodies, we can then go, this is why I'm doing this, because this is happening to me. I am so frightened at this moment, and I've got all these biochemicals going around in my body that I have frozen. And I can't speak, I can't talk, I don't even want to look at anybody, because I'm in freeze mode. And that's how I keep safe. So don't think it's anything to do with you. It's what has kept that young person safe in their trauma, so that that can happen to them. So in our breakup rooms, because I'm running over time, is going to be to listen to behavior. How would you do it? How and what would you record when you listen to behaviors? Now, if you've got children, think about them. If you work in the industry, think about the last client that challenged you. If you've never worked in the industry before and you don't have children, I want you to really think about, what is listening to behavior? What does it mean? So I am going to pause our recording, press record. Oh, you can tell this is my first session, can't you? Okay, Sophie, could you please tell us what you discussed in your breakout room, please, Tom?
Sure. So we believe it's observing and paying attention to behavior, assessing what it might mean, how to manage it, and refraining from judgment. And then we also talked about different types of behavior that we might observe, which is things like hyperactivity, being destructive, aggression, and motionless.
Absolutely. Good work. Good work. I like that. Anybody else in one of what we have? 3 breakout rooms. I think Crystal and I were together on our own there for a minute. Not sure how you went, Crystal, with that. Would somebody else like to speak?
I've got a few. My group had a few.
Excellent.
So we wrote down watching their actions, body gestures, facial expressions, emotions, the type of language they're using, what like if they're withdrawn from things, if they don't want to participate in anything anymore, like if they're taking their stuff away, if they're not eating or they're binge eating, self-care, hygiene, that's about all.
Yeah, they're all behaviors, aren't they? We find that with behaviors, we can come in and out of them at any sort of time. They're not like, we're always like this, we're always angry. Most of us, it's too hard to be angry all the time. If you're an angry person, that takes a lot of energy, and it can dwindle our energy supplies when we are angry with everybody all the time, especially when we do a lot of blaming, when we blame everybody for everything that has happened. And little kids can't realize that they can sometimes be the problem. So it's a blame game. So you've got to be careful of blaming anybody else for what is actually happening to you, even though they can be to blame. But it's how we deal with that is is the best part of it. Okay, somebody else with that? Listening to behaviours. Would anybody else like to say anything about that? Has anybody observed something that they would like to share with the group? Something that you've seen that you go, wow, that's intense.
I've noticed that like different like kids and like different years will like communicate differently and like will open up like differently, like the way you speak to them, like you've kind of got to find like in the middle like how they're gonna like connect to you the most, like, and like I don't know, just the way like different people like build trust and like feel safe, I guess. So the way you act around the kid is gonna like impact them differently, like each and every other kid.
Absolutely, Jasmine, absolutely. Okay, let's go back to our parents. Were they a good role model for us? Some yes, some no, sometimes, other times maybe not. Could they have done things differently? Absolutely, they could. Did we get a manual when we got pregnant? No, we did not get a manual. We didn't get anything, actually. We just got pregnant. So, woo, here we go. It's difficult. It is really difficult. So we need to not only look at our communication and what they're saying, but their behaviours with that. Very, very important. Now, who here works with youth? You can put a little hand up. I think it's a little yellow hand that comes up. So if you are working with youth, what are some of the strategies you use? Jay, well done, Jay. Thank you. Jay, what are some of the things that you do with your youth that help with their behaviours in the communication that you use? Give us a hint.
Well, first of all, listening is probably the biggest. Is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Sitting down, creating a very safe environment for them to speak.
Good work.
Is another good thing too as well. And then also asking them, reminding them that anything that is said here is purely confidential, unless their safety or other safety is at risk.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I always make that quite clear with them.
You have to. You have no choice.
Yeah.
Well done, Jay. Yeah. Anything else you can share with us? So I like the listening, safe space, confidentiality. Love that.
Yeah, and I basically just let them speak. Sometimes I might speak about other things other than the topic that we're speaking about, but usually they will come around and they'll start. So I ask open questions, and I'll just let them talk and just listen. But most of the time, we might not get the answers that we might from the first conversation, but eventually down the track, once I start building rapport, then they start to open up.
I'll mute myself. Are you going to walk up to a stranger and tell them everything that your darkest secrets? I don't think so. I think so. And as a young person, absolutely not. We are not going to tell you zip unless I trust you. When I trust you, I will tell you more. Now that trust may take months to build. So you've got to really think about what that looks like for that young person. It's good to know their background, but sometimes we don't get that. We don't get their background. We know that they might come from child safety, but we don't know what's actually happening to them. So we're making assumptions. We're trying to get as much information as we can about this young person so we can better support them. So very, very important for that. Anybody else like to say anything about listening to behaviours?
I think young persons need somebody to be always true, because if they realize that you always telling lies, they quickly they won't be listening to you. But if they realize that you're always telling the truth, and when they go out there, it is like that. Even the young ones, you find them asking you, "Is it, mommy? Is it true? What is that?" So if you tell them that a car is a bicycle, and they realize that a bicycle is not a car, they will not really be happy.
Good on you, Rose. Well done. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So would anybody else like to share anything of listening to behaviors that they have learnt from listening to behaviors?
Yeah, I have something to say.
Good.
Would listening to behaviors also be in it's connected to listening to your own intuition of like what you see on someone's behavior, like picking up these social cues and then like trusting your own intuition. Yeah, well, is as part of the behavior.
You're quite right, Crystal, because if you feel that this young person is going to lose it more than what they have, and you may be in danger, you need those instincts to kick in and go, oh, this is unsafe for me. I maybe need to move away or get somebody else to help me. All right. Now, that could happen on a daily basis. So you need to have good rapport with your staff and the other people, your team members, hey, absolutely. But your intuition, you can't say, oh, you can't write in your notes, my intuition told me that this was going to happen. You might be quite right, but they won't look at that legally. They won't take that on board. But also in your report writing, it would come back to, I felt that this might have escalated because I witnessed them doing this, this, and this. So you've got to back up that intuition with factual stuff, because otherwise they'll say, oh, well, no, you don't know what happened. We can't measure intuition. So it's not something that we would say, oh, yes, okay, your intuition was right, spot on there. We're going to write that in our notes. But it would be, I had the feelings of this might happen in this situation, or I felt that this might happen in this situation. So your feelings are not to be dismissed. They are there to protect you. So it's always good to make sure that you do listen to your intuition, your instincts, your ability to be able to read, listen to behaviors. All right, very good, very good. Look at me going on time. 7 o'clock, we're going to go for a break for 10 minutes, and then I'll bring you back on. Please remind me to stop recording and then to record once we come back on. All right, so I want you to have a break, get up, move around, move away from your screen. That's the main thing, because we're on here for a long time. So move away from your screen, do whatever you need to do, and I will see you back in 12 minutes. Everybody okay with that?
Vicky, before you go, could I add
Yes,
something
Amy.
to that real quick?
Anybody that wants to stay back can stay back. I'll be here for 2 minutes.
Something that I've learned with like youth work is what I've been told is like take mental notes of like how the young person is acting. So if they're acting like a certain way one day and then they change the way they act a different day, you take mental notes of that. And you keep taking mental notes to see like, if there's any changes to their behavior.
Absolutely. If I was a support worker working in a residential house, I would have a little notepad and a pen with me at all times. Absolutely all times. It would be like the mobile phone, and if you want to use a mobile phone, use the mobile phone. But then they think you're playing on your phone and not paying attention to it. But then also when you're writing things down, are you recording me? So, but it is, if you need to make that mental note, Amy, which is brilliant, to remember it, because the day and the time is very important about when this child has used these behaviors. So that is really important. All right. Thanks, Amy, for that. That was brilliant. Well done. Okay, off to your breaks, and I will see you in 10. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. Can I book in with you potentially for my role plays? The only thing for me is I've got availability at any time on weekends.
Yep.
But other than that, if you're not available, it would have to be after like 7 p.m. at night,
Yeah.
6 or 7 with work.
Yeah. Right. And is that for this unit?
Yeah, for this unit's role play. So if I could do, if you're available, not this weekend, next weekend.
If you're ready to do it, have you done your assignments yet?
No, that's why I want it. If I can book in next weekend, because I've got 2 questions left on the assignment. So
Putting everybody else to shame?
No, not at all. I just have to stay on track, otherwise I'll get behind. So yeah, that's why if it's not this weekend, but next weekend, I'll be ready by then with
All
enough
right.
time for my role play stuff.
What date are we looking at there, Dom?
So that would be the
29th?
Yeah, 29th or 30th, whatever day you're free, I can do any of those.
All right. Leave that with me.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
And we'll make that work. We'll make that work.
Yeah, unreal.
Thank you. Love it.
Perfect. Thank you.
The more work you do, the more we help you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you
You're
so
doing
much.
it, so it's like help them.
Yeah, unreal. Thank you.
Very much into that. All right.
Perfect.
Break.
See you soon.
Thanks, guys. That was our first break. We've done, and we're ready to go again. Still working on the same unit that we were. So we did a great discussion on listening to behaviour, which is very, very important. And it gives us an insight into what we need to do when we're working with young people, because they can be very challenging. So we need to be on point to be able to make sure that their lives, or they don't disrupt our lives too much and our shifts go smoothly. And also we support them. There was something that was said in here that I wrote down and I went, that is so true. And basically it is, do not give up on them. No matter how much they challenge you, do not give up on them. Now, kids challenge us all the time. If we've got children, they're always pushing boundaries, challenging us. So do we give up on them? Hopefully not. Hopefully not. So when you're working in that position, you've got no choice. You cannot give up on them, regardless of how their day is. So very, very important. All right, I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to have a look at the next section of our PowerPoints. And our PowerPoints. All right, everybody can see those. A nod. Thank you. Good work. I don't know what I'd do without you. Sitting there talking to myself. All right, let's have a look. So we're moving into the area of not only listening to behaviours, but also speaking to and reflecting on ourselves as well. But we're going to talk about culture a little bit before then. So there you go, listening to behaviours. Now, when people are in the spectrum, they perceive things differently than we do. Anybody here got ADHD? Most of us got a little bit, even though we don't know it, and we've never been diagnosed. And I also go, most of us have got a mental health problem, but we manage it. So if we look at that, then if you then go, if you're in the spectrum, it's even harder for you to understand things. And I think I look at it and go, every second child has just about been diagnosed with ADHD, attention deficit, which I go, why? What are we doing? And I actually take it back to food. I go that deep to go, food is a source of our problems, and the food industry. Listening to behavior, we need to look at literacy, we need to look at language skills, we need to think about trauma, we need to think about familiarity, self-harm, mental health, and learning difficulties. Now, you can imagine a kid that's in trauma, but then they also have a mental health problem as well. So you can imagine the compounding of problems that they would have. So be very aware. They don't normally come with one issue. None of us come with one issue. We usually have a string of issues that we come with. So we've got to be able to deal with those. So no, I'm not giving you homework. Right, cultural needs and differences is the next section that we're going to have a look at. And that's what you'll learn at the end of it. So this would be a warm-up activity. Well, warm up. All right, moving right along. So cultural issues. Immigration is a big thing at the moment. We are bringing people in like solidly, all right? And then we have to resettle them. So that can cause issues. Language and communication, as far as cultural issues go, can be a problem. We may talk too fast. We may talk slang or jargon and they just don't get it. Even people that speak English sometimes don't get us, right? Because of the way we talk, how we talk, what we say. And trauma. Let's add trauma into that as well. So it's very important to make sure that when we're working with people with cultural differences as well, that we take those into consideration and become culturally competent in what we're doing. Wouldn't matter what culture it was. To me, if you've got an Indian child in your care, then I would find out everything I possibly could about their culture, what their religion, if they have one in there, what their mannerisms are, what they do in their country, what is not acceptable to them. For example, in Bangkok, it is shunned upon if you touch someone on the head. A little kid, an adult, they do not like to be touched on the head. It is a taboo with them. They think that you take away their brain when you do that, so they don't like you to do it. And it's like visiting another country. We have to adjust to what is happening in that country. Not so much in the UK, Sophie, you should be good with that. They should be okay. But there's a lot of different cultures within that. You will come across, walking down the street, 17 different cultures just about as you move through the city of London. So it's very, very important that we become culturally competent in our work. So very, very important. We're not going to do case studies. I'm going to let you read them. Some of them are good, some of them aren't so good. If you're getting stuck with your role plays, look at a case study. All right, so cultural competency. Let me just have a look. Now, just wanted to see, anybody see that I started the recording? I hope I did. I think I did. All right. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So respecting culture. Wouldn't matter where you came from. To me, respect should be given, regardless of where you come from. It should just be a natural part of us to be respectful of everyone. What they're saying in the next one is making people change their culture to suit where they now live. It's, yes, they do have to assimilate into what we do, but I don't think we should take away their culture. I don't think we should make them, oh, you have to be an Aussie now. To me, you become an Aussie and whatever you are. So I think that's it's very important to be respectful of everybody else's culture, and I think everybody in this room would be. If you find yourself not, listen to your behaviors. All right. Now, that is a video. You can actually watch that, and there's a case study. You can read it. All right. So if we're selecting resources and activities within being culturally competent, we can find resources in meetings, customs, boundaries. There's different ways that we can figure out what is most supportive for that person. But knowing them and knowing what their culture is and knowing what happens in that culture is very, very important. So that's a really important step. Now, translation documents. There's no point in giving someone that doesn't speak English something written in English. All right, they're just going to look at you and go, what? Toys and games with kids can be quite relevant. When I'm in sessions with kids, I give them an activity to do because they need to do something. They will not sit on a seat and listen and converse with me. I need to give them something to do. And usually when they're doing something, that's when they will start talking to me because they're doing something and they're talking at the same time. It's very, very important. Rather than have the kid talk at you, give them something to do. Do something with them. The best thing to do with the kids is board games. Teach them how to play a board game, and then teach them the rules so they don't bend them, and then get them to teach the next one that comes along. So it's actually giving them skills in teaching somebody how to play this game without getting angry at them. Yeah, so that's a really good way to do that. But if you're looking for resources for cultural competency, also look at training and look at the staff selection within your organisation. Have we got a reasonable scope of nationalities in our organisation to make sure that we cover everything and we don't look like we're a biased organisation. Sounds and music are a great way to, whose go-to when you're not feeling that crash hot is music? Absolutely, absolutely. It is a big deal. It is a really big deal. Get to know your clients through their music. What do they like to listen to? You know, it's a good rapport builder, that one. All right. Culturally relevant decisions and actions. Well, we need that initial meeting with people so that we can figure out what needs to be done. And we collect that information. We select effective actions to use in there, and we hopefully make good decisions when we're in that space. And those decisions come back to responsibility, transparency, and your scope, what you're allowed to do in that space. So to me, if you're working with someone from a different culture, find out what that culture does, because that can help you to build that rapport with that young person. Very good. All right. So we know that cultural competency is a part of every job. It's not just working with youth. It is across all organisations. We are a multinational island. So we need to make sure that we stay that way and we keep our knowledge of other nationalities in the forefront of our minds, especially when we're working with someone who is from a different culture. All right. So now in the chat, I want you to put how you're feeling. Trent did a really good description of it the other week. But how do you feel from 1 to 10? We're in the middle of the section. We're moving into our next breakup room. How do you feel right now? 1 to 10 in the chat box for me. And that will give me a gauge of how you are feeling right at this moment. Good work. Thank you. Oh, no. Okay, so what we're going to talk about now is managing bias. Now, how many of you have never been biased about something? Good. We're all biased. We all have something that whether you don't like, or it goes against our values, or it pushes up against our beliefs. So we all have biases. Some of us don't know what they are. Some of us do know what they are. But it's reflecting on us as a human. What are my biases? So to find out that, I need to know what my values and my beliefs are, what my worldview is. So if you've got biases, I want you to look at them and go, oh, I'm pretty biased about this, or whatever it may be. Is that stopping you from doing your job properly, looking after your kids, looking after yourself? So have a think about biases, because we're going to do the breakout rooms and we're going to discuss that. So managing biases is about recognizing. I need to know I've got a bias. And I do have them. I try to put them to one side, especially when I'm working. But it does happen. Actively listen to make sure that what you say, oh, is that bias? Am I being negative here? Or is that my assumption? So that active listening to what you're saying is going to help you manage your biases. The language that you use is going to help you with that. The gathering of information is very important. Our perspectives of the world will come into that. We need feedback from others, because sometimes we think we're not biased, but somebody will go, oh, excuse me, that's not a good thing to say or whatever, or do. So we need that feedback, because sometimes we're not aware of our biases. We've had them for so long, they're entrenched in us, and we haven't even realized that we're doing it. So we need to know that we are doing it. Is anybody brave enough to tell me what one of their biases would be? No one. What is my bias? What is my bias? What am I biased against? I am biased against unfair treatment of people. Oh, Amy, tell us your bias. Do you know you still got your mute on? Amy, did you want to say something about a bias? You got your little hand up. That's why I asked you. No? Okay.
I can share if no one else wants to.
Thank you.
I think my bias would have to be people who do drugs, to be honest.
Okay. Okay.
Especially people who do drugs who have children in the same house.
All right. Good. A good bias. A good bias to be aware of, because how would you go working with a drug and alcohol?
I think it could possibly be a difficult case for me.
Well done.
Like, obviously I can like I could be there for the child and everything, but just engaging with the parents, I think I would find difficult because of that bias.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're quite right. Well done. And that does make us biased too, doesn't it? It might be that I can't stand cigarette smoke or vaping. So I'm biased against people that do it. I don't necessarily go up to them and say, you shouldn't do that. But I encourage the children not to me, very, very important. Whether they listen to me or not is another thing. But I think they need to be told so we can plant the seed.
Yes, absolutely. I think they need to like understand that it's not, it's not a normal or a healthy way to be, but that's what they see. That's who their parents are. So they have a higher chance of following that lifestyle if someone doesn't interject and be like, hey, look, let's go on a different path.
Absolutely. Good point. Brilliant point. Anybody else got a bias that they think they'd like to share?
Yeah, I'll share. I think mine is how quick now things are getting, like you just discussed with like ADHD, like everything's got an attachment to it and everyone's quick to chuck on medication straight away without, I think, looking deeper into that. So I think that's mine.
We are highly prescribing it. And now it's really hard to get into to see someone that can prescribe it. So we're seeing that in Bundaberg, for example, it's 12 months to see a psychologist. 12 months. So it's not something that can happen quickly, but it is happening more often. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So power of reflection in youth work. Now, some of you, thank you very much for being able to speak and say what your biases are, because we've all got them. We've all got them. And I think if we said, oh, no, don't have any biases, I'm going, you haven't self-reflected on yourself and what you're doing. So very important to do that. Now, you can watch that Power of Reflection in Youth Work video and have a look at that case study in that. So with resilience, I think at every stage in support work, you need to be resilient, all right? Because there's going to be things that test you on a daily basis. So self-sufficiency, support and mentors can help you. Your supervisors can help you. Your team members can help you. Don't ever think that nobody can help you in the course of your work, because there's people there that are put in positions to do that. So very, very important. Bouncing back from a hard shift can be, what is your self-care? What do you do for self-care? Has anybody got any self-care strategies that they would like to share with the group?
Yeah, I go on like walks without my phone is my thing. So each night after work, I try and just give myself half an hour or an hour without my phone.
Good work. Good work. How attached to our phones are we? Hey, how attached are we to that device? Yeah. Now, I suppose most of you can't remember what it was like with no mobiles. Anybody in the group? No. So you've all been born with this equipment. How can you let that go? How can you do that?
No, I was 14 when phones came out. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I was around that too.
Well, now they're looking at 16. We'll see how far it goes, but they're looking at 16 for a phone, and no social media till 16, and then phones not until high school. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Interesting. Watch that space. That will be good, because the kids in residential, some have phones, some don't, and that can become a problem. if you need to sit down and have a real conversation with a child, and then they're on their phone the whole time, it's very hard for you to gauge whether they're listening or not, or whether they're just superimposed in their phone. So yeah, it can become a difficult situation with the mobiles. The activity you can do, and the learning in that is, as we've said, if you need more, training workshops, group reflection, readings, podcasts, personal reflections. Really, to know ourselves, we need to reflect on what we do and how we do it. And we do that at work, but we very rarely do that in our personal space. And I think it's very important that we sort of look at that and go, okay, I need to do that job, but I haven't done it. Why? Why haven't I done it? And self-reflect on the reasons why that job hasn't been done. Top one might be, I don't want to do it. But why haven't we done it? We know we have to do it. What is stopping us from doing that? And that's self-reflection. And we need to do that when we're working on a constant basis. Very, very, very important. But general discussions with people can sometimes help you realize what you don't know. What you don't know. And we don't know what we don't know. Case study you can do. And I'm not giving you homework. And that is the end of that. Right, good. So I'm going to stop sharing. Cancel that because that was good. Yes, lovely. All right, now we're going to put you in breakup rooms for our last breakup room. And I'm going to get you to self-reflect, if you want to, on a positive bias and a negative bias. Because some biases can be positive. You just got to find them. Most of them are usually, we default to negative. All right. So I'm going to stop recording.
I'm happy to talk. So in our group, we spoke about, you know, some of the different negative biases was a lot easier to come up with than positive biases, but we spoke about, you know, whether it be racism or cultural differences or you know, drug use, obviously, and just the way people present around children can also be a big negative. Again, positives were a bit hard to come up with because it's the word bias isn't really seen as a possible to have both.
Good work.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well done. Well done. All right. Anybody else like to share? You probably all had the same sort of biases that you would have mentioned. So I dare say just about every. Sorry?
Is that okay? Can I speak on my group?
Yes,
Is that okay? Kirsten's got the thumbs up for me.
Okay.
So for us, I'm just doing this based off memory. I think Kirsten said something about I think he's discussed it beforehand about like medications. I think the positive bias was the one where I'm so sorry, like my memory is like really foggy at the moment.
That's okay.
So I can't really remember much, but I do remember the negative bias where he thinks that young people make like medications like their personality, which would make it difficult for to kind of like, you know, communicate with them in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, sorry, Amy, when they take it or they don't take their medication?
I didn't think we really touched base on that, but
okay.
That's all I remember. For Sophie, I think she said certain cultures and certain religions, like it does have like a positive aspects, but also there's the negative aspects of people still like, you know, discriminating. Like we kind of had similar ones, discriminating against like certain cultures and certain religions if they don't agree with like certain values of beliefs of that religion or culture. And I completely forgot, I think Crystal was in the group with us, but I completely forgot hers. So apologies, Crystal.
Crystal might tell us later.
But for mine, I said something about like how there's more diversity in like certain industries like modeling and acting and in the music industry as well. But also on the negative side of it, there's still like discrimination and there's still like people, not really open to other cultures, like having their own voice or having their own say in certain industries. Yeah.
Yeah. And organisations need to be culturally competent. So they need to have a wide variety of people from different cultures within their organisation. So it's very important. And I go, if I'm working with someone from a different culture, I want to know everything about them, what they used to do, what their norms are, what they think is incorrect way of doing things, and just how they do things, because that can be such an informative conversation with someone who has got a friend that is of a different culture. Yep. And do they give you the good things and the bad things about their culture?
100%. There's always a good or bad of every single culture out there.
Absolutely, Amy, there absolutely is. But it's really good to hear it from them, because then we're not being biased about it, are we? Because it's coming from someone from that culture. So we can get a really good understanding of what that is. So that's amazing. Anybody else like to share anything about their bias? I think I only had you in 3 groups. There's about 10 in one group and 10 in another group. You wouldn't have had time to say anything. All right. Okay, but definitely take that on, Jasmine. Well done. I'm going to put up a slide to say what you're going to do in the breakout room, just so that we can see it as well as hear it. As I said, a lot of us are visual. We need that visual. And that's probably why you're doing these classes, because you need that visual. Very important. Okay, very good, very good. Now we've been through the slides. So we've done the slides. We've touched on the learner's guide, which I can't express enough that you need to look at that. You really do, because it gives you all the information that you need. Absolutely. And examples, case studies. There's a wealth of information in that document. And for every unit that you do, there will be a learner's guide. So I go get the learner's guide. Make sure you've got that, and that will help you with your answers. Yeah. Is anybody having trouble before we hit the 8 o'clock mark? Has anybody got any trouble with a certain question within this unit that they don't understand? And if you do, and you can't think of it tonight, if you come across it, I want you to send me an email about it, why you don't understand this question. Or what is this question wanting me to say? Because sometimes we have a hard time trying to decipher the question. What do they want? And then there's questions that have got an and in them, which means I want you to do this and I want you to do that. And sometimes we miss the last half of it because of the and that's in there. So always remember that, that sometimes questions have two bits to them. And you might fill out the first bit and then it gets sent back to you because you missed the second bit. All right. If there's an and in a question, it wants 2 things. Always remember that. Very, very important, because it'll get sent back to you because you haven't finished it. So you need to do that. Have a look at your role plays as well, and just see what resources would I need for that role play. How would I best put that together? Because really in your role plays, you need a script. You need to know what you're going to say. So that's very important. All right. Good. All right. Amy, do you feel better than what you put in there? Dole, you feeling a little bit better?
So much better.
Good job, Dole. Well done. Well done. Good. Everybody's not too bad. That's lovely. Yes, I think I let Mel in, didn't I? Yes, Mel said yes. Good. All right. Now, sorry, Amy, I missed your hand and that, but I think we've got through that as well. I'm just going through the chat. Okay, good work. Well done, everyone. No problem. Oh, Emma, I am sorry about that. I was saying Amy. I'm looking at one and saying another. Okay, very good. Thank you. If there's anything that you want to express and you don't want to do it verbally, you can always type it in and I can have a look and say it for you if you want it to. All right, so what do you find the hardest in your assessments? This particular one. What is the hardest thing that you've had to do in this assessment, do you believe?
The role plays.
The role plays. Okay, all right. Role plays are very important. Know what you're going to do first. Know what you're going to do first. We can walk you through a draft role play and then record you. So don't ever feel, oh, I'm going to muck it up the first time. Well, you get 3 chances. So I'm going, we'll go through it if you're comfortable to do that, and then we'll record. All right. So don't let the role play stop you from finishing that work and going, right, role play. Still got to do that, but I'm also going to start a new unit. So get your scripts together for the role plays so that you don't forget what was in that unit. So make sure your role plays are pretty close after you've either finished or very close to finishing, because that's when you'll remember what is needed for those role plays. And those role plays will reflect the learner's guide and what you've learned. So very important to do that. And has anybody got trouble trying to find somebody else to do their role plays with them? Has that been an issue? Mel?
Just a quick question. So we've got Bronte and I have our last chunk of role plays. I think we've started to organise. Yeah, we've got at the moment. I think we've got 38 that we're smashing out this week.
Okay, that's overwhelming.
Yeah. So the task 3 one of this unit, it's 4 people needed, but on Thursday we might only have 4 people for a couple of hours, and we've got other ones that need 4 people. If that one, are we able to play around with it a little bit to if we can't get the 4th person to do it and do it with 3 people?
Yeah, sometimes, what's going on there? Sometimes I can actually find someone else to do it with you. So if there's more people in the role play than you've got, we can actually find people to sit in with you. I think the last ones that I was in, I think there was 3 or 4 people watching to see what had happened, and then we can basically tell people what they need to do and get them to join. So if you're finding that you've only got 4, when you email me and say, I've got a role play for this unit, and state the unit name, the name and number if you can, and I've only got, it needs 4 people, but I've only got 3, then that makes me go, okay, I need another one for that. Right, we're going to do it on this time, and I've teed up that other person. So we'll make that work, Mel. We will make that work. But you've got a lot of role plays. Let's get them out the way, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do those. Because if you've got any role plays, that's all those units haven't been finished yet.
These will be the last role plays for this
course,
youth work course.
Well done.
And we've got, I think, 2 more left for community service out of role plays, but everything else is done.
Well done. Well done. All right.
So this will be the last lot.
Right. We need to get them out of the way. If yours that close to finishing, then we need to step up to that and help you with that. Yeah. So leave that with me, Mel. I'll make sure. But if you email me and let me know your situation, and what that unit is
It's more
about.
because it's double, because like I've got my lot and then Bronte's got her lot, sort of thing. So like it's about half of
Yeah.
them.
And you girls are going to swap over?
Yeah.
Yep. Good work. Well done. Excellent. Emma.
Oh, I was just saying that I was not super confident with the role plays at all because I've never done one. I'm not sure who to do them with, and
Yeah,
I might ask to have a go, but I don't think it'll be particularly good the first time. But again, I don't really know who to do them with.
Mm-hmm. Practice makes perfect. And sometimes if you watch someone do one, it's good for you to see that. The other part of that is have a look at the case studies. What are they doing in that? What are they saying? What is happening in that case study? Because that can give you pointers to put in your role plays. Yeah, they are daunting, absolutely. The more we do, the better we get. Have a little spiel at the front about confidentiality, boundaries, responsibilities, rights, and all that sort of thing. So before you start a role play, you've got to introduce yourself to the person and let them know what it's about. So think of all those things that you have to do and have a little running sheet with you. And that supports you. Have I said that? Yes, tick it off. All right, now we're coming into this part and I've got to say this, tick it off. And that will give you a little bit of structure, because sometimes we start to go all over the place. And in a role play, like a session, if you're with someone in a session, you need to have a little bit of structure in that. So write that down for yourself, and that will give you more confidence, because you know, I've got to do this, and this, and I've got to cover this, and this in that role play they want me to do. Yeah, good work, Emma. All right, Sophie.
Hey, Vicky. So the role play that I need help with is the one with the 4 people, and I could definitely get 1, possibly 2. Could you be the 4th person? So if you're assessing it, could you be the 4th? Okay.
Yeah, I certainly can.
Okay.
I can play a role and I can assess at the same time.
Okay, cool.
I'm not the best person to have as a person, especially depending on what, if I'm the naughty young person, look out.
Okay.
But you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah, as I said, a running sheet will help you in a role play, because we're in any sort of session, we're writing things down. We look at them. We look at our paper and things like that. So you could have your running sheet and still look completely professional with that. But then it gives you a guide. I need to do this, and this, and I need to talk about these things. And then that will guide you. It's like a agenda for a meeting. You need it to stay on track. So sometimes that is a good thing. Yeah, and then you can put your strategies and your solutions in the bottom of it. And then even in your role plays, if you wanted to, you could do a bit of self-reflection in that as well, if it fits, depending on what that role play actually looks like and what they're actually asking for. Yeah, but your running sheet is a really good idea for your role plays. Emma, did you still have your hand up, doll? No? Good one. All right, excellent. Okay, so I'm 3 minutes over. I talk too much. So we're going to go on another break, because that's what Vicky told me. I have to give you 2 breaks tonight, and then we'll come back and basically wrap up. If you get a chance on your break, though, I do want you to have a break. Think about some of those questions in your assignments that you go and stuck on that one. Still haven't done 5 because I can't find what they need in that. And let me know what they are, so I can maybe give you a few pointers on that. All right. Okay, so I'm going to pause recording. All right, so we've just had our second break and we're back on. We've got our last approximately 3/4 an hour to go. Now, I've seen in the chat that some people are having trouble with certain items within their work. So if you make a list of those, I can have a look and I will find your emails and I will point you in the right direction. So I've got Item 15 of 18 in the quiz. All right. I will work on that one and see what happens with that. And then I'll find your email and add that person in. I'll find your email and then send you points that we need in that, depending on what it is. But I'll look that up. No worries at all. All right. Well done, everyone.
No.
So I'm glad that you're back on board. Now we've gone through the learner's guide, which is a brilliant document. Can't get better than that. And I go, if you can download them, because you will be using them constantly. So that's a really good thing. And the examples that they've got in there will give you more information than what you need to put in your assignment. So that's always a good thing too. All right, so I've had one person tell me about one thing that they've had that they're stuck on, so I'm going to look that up and get back to them about that. Anybody else want to put in the chat anything that they go, oh, I'm still stuck on this question and I'm just not sure what it is? And you can put that in the chat when you so see fit to do so, and I will have a look at that and see what we can do. But as I said, with your role plays, have some sort of script or agenda that you're going to use, so you know what you're going to say with that. Now, remember in your answers with this engage respectfully with young people that you need to think about your effective youth practice. You need to think about your communication, cultural needs, and personal reflection on what and how you did what you did, and whether you think that you're doing it well or you may need some sort of supervision with them. In support work, there will always be a supervisor somewhere. You can always find them, and they're the ones that you need to speak to when you're having trouble with anything to do with your work. So very important. You will have challenging days, you'll have excellent days, but you need to be aware that there's going to be tricky days that you need to be resilient about. So, okay. I want in the chat, brilliant, well done. I'm thinking about what you do for self-care. Now you're studying, you're probably working. Some of you have got children, some of you have got other people that you have to look after. So there's all sorts of things that happen to us while we study. And some of it doesn't help us, and some of it spurs us along. Has anybody got any strategies that they believe works for them when they study? And you can put it in the chat or you can talk to us about it. Strategies for study. Amy, you got your hand up?
Yeah.
Good.
Just like I shared with you, like before the class started, I think just doing it by like little chunks, it helps in the progress. Because you don't want to like cram everything in like one day, and it's gonna stress you out even more. So just do like take 2-3 hours to do some work, then take a break, and then work on it again. By like probably the end of the week, you probably would have finished 2 assessments, even better 3. That's how I do it, but that's just me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you'll find that there's other people in the room that will work for as well. We can only remember what we can remember. Most of the time we will remember the first bit and maybe the last bit, but we'll forget what's in the middle. So taking it bit by bit is always a better way of studying. I need to do this, I'm going to get this done by this time, and so on and so forth, because you don't have long to do your work. We've been talking to this unit for 3 weeks. So 3 Tuesdays, and basically you're on your own. So
And to add to
I'll go back,
that,
sorry.
and to add to that, I think it's the safest option to start with the ones that are more longer and more complicated, and then to work next on to the ones that are more shorter and more easier for you. So that way
Okay.
you don't have like work stacked up and you don't have to like, worry about it because you've already done it.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than worrying about your study because it can become a big worry. And the more we worry, the less we do. So we've got to stop ourselves from worrying and just do what we need to do. Now, if we get stuck on something, your learner guide is there. So to me, that is one of the best. But sometimes we can't find the information that we want quickly enough because we need stuff right immediately. And sometimes we have to read and maybe go through things maybe twice to actually find what we actually need. I like the way that you said complete silence and just zone in while taking notes. Absolutely. Good luck with complete silence. Sometimes that's hard to find. So having someone to study with, even if it's over video, just good to have someone keep you company when you're studying. And you can brainstorm with each other. When you study together, make sure that your work is not the same. All right, because then that can actually lead to plagiarism and one of you will get into trouble. So make sure that when you do work with someone that you can nut out the key points, but you put it in your own words. And that will help you. Love that. Well done. You got other people commenting on it as well, Bronte. That's beautiful. Excellent. Well done. Well done. All right. So, Kristen, I'm going to find out about that item 15 now. I think if you're stuck on that, there'll be other people that will be stuck on that. So we'll find out about that. All right. Is there anything that anyone would like to talk about their study? Good, bad, doesn't matter. Anybody like to say anything about the courses that they're doing? Besides Bronte and Mel, who have nearly finished. So everybody's moving along okay? Yep. Some of you haven't started this module yet. I suggest you do because it is a fairly big module. And the next module that I do is mental health. Now that's a big module. That's got a lot of things in it. And as I said earlier, if you've got a young person that's got a mental illness, regardless of what it is, and then they've got trauma and crisis happening, it just escalates everything. All right, good. Well done. Some of you are tracking okay and you're happy with your progress. Some maybe a little bit not as happy as what you would be, but just keep chipping away at it. Just keep chipping away at it. As I said, you've got 3 chances. So you can, I don't want you to guess, but you can put in what you believe is the right answer. And then if it comes back, then you know you've got to do some more research with it. But to be given that chance to do it again and maybe again is a gift. Most RTOs do not do that. So that's you're in a good one here that does that. So will most people be finished this unit within a week? I got some of the chat. No, absolutely not. And I think that's okay, but don't get too far behind, because when we get too far behind, it's hard to catch up. And then it's hard to get our head in the space of that unit again. I know when I stop and then start something again, I've got to go back and go, right, where was I? What was I doing in this? What do I need to do? So stopping and starting can sometimes be an issue if you do not finish that first section. But I go take it in sections. Quizzes, yes, but the role plays not so much. Absolutely. Absolutely. We will make you fearless of the role plays, because when you're speaking to young people, you're doing a role play with them. It's that conversation that you're having with them is like having and doing a role play. So it can be quite daunting, but then when you're in the job, you're doing it. Every day's a role play. Every day's a role play. All right. So with that, how many people need to do the quizzes twice or 3 times? You can put your hand up if you like, if it takes you 3 times to do the quizzes. No, everybody looks pretty good with that. Okay. All right. Good. Good, good, good. All right. Excellent. Now, I'm leaving the floor open now. I know Vicky stopped it just on 8:30, but we'll keep going till we've got a little bit closer to 9. So anybody would like to mention anything about what they're actually doing with their assessments, or if they need extra help with their assessments, like a one-on-one with me at some stage? Because I'm open for that. If you found that there was a lot of things in a unit that you just did not understand, I'm happy to sit with you, and it won't take long to actually talk you through those things and to let you know which direction to go into with the answers to those. So if anybody needs that help, my email is in the chat, so you can email me and I will endeavour to get in touch with you and do just that. All right. I need you to also, in your work, to be reflective of what you do and say within your work. So be very aware of your communication skills. Now, remember to go into the virtual organisation. There'll be lots of stuff in there that you will use, and you will use them for all your different units. Who's going to, a show of hands, who's going to be doing the next unit, which will be CHCYTH013? Who's going to be doing that?
I finished it.
You finished that, Mel? Well done. You girls are just about done.
Same.
Good work. So that's the next one that I'll be looking at, I dare say, and we've got 3 weeks of classes to get through that. So what I might do with that is have a look at the assessments and see exactly what they're asking us to look for. And then I'll bring it to the class, the best way to go through it. Because I think if I can work you through what's needed in that unit, it will help you to be able to complete it. So if everybody's happy with that, I'm happy to look through it and go, right, well, we need to do this, this, and this with this unit. So let's put it into perspective. What do we actually need to learn? Now, remember that your learner's guide for that unit will be there for you. Very important. Very, very important to get hold of, because it will give you the information that you need. You may not be able to find it immediately. And sometimes when we read through from cover to cover, we miss things. So I always go, look at the contents page of your learner's guide, find what you need, go to that page, find the information. You don't need to read the whole thing, even though I did. It's more about what's on the contents page, what do I want to know, where is it in that? So that's the easiest way to use a learner's guide, user's guide, learner's guide. All right, very good. All right, so a lot of you have just got the work that you need to do, and you've got role plays to do. All right, Don't be afraid of your role plays, as we said. Have that script, have that agenda ready of what you need to do and what you need to say, and that may make things easier for you. You may have to do a script for the other people that are in there, but most of it's set out reasonably well for you to sort out. Is there anything else anyone can think of that they would like help with? I'm going to separate the.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Jasmine.
I'm just not too sure with the role plays. Like, it's just a bit like, I get like online learning's a bit like, it's not really new for everybody, but it's kind of still new and we're still all getting used to it. But I can't understand. Can I, like, so am I recording what we discuss in those groups, or is it that I can like do that with like on my own time, like video it and then just put it into our like learner portal?
Absolutely, you can, Jasmine. Absolutely, you can. If you've got a grasp of what you need and you've got someone to help you and they know what to do, and you've got your little agenda set out that you know what to do, you can do that with them, record it, and then upload it. Absolutely, you can. Absolutely.
What I've found with like this, like, I don't know if there's different groups in this particular course or not, like it's just where we're at, but a lot of people like know really what they're doing, and then some people just don't have any idea, and it's like I'm kind of stuck in the middle of the two, and I feel like we kind of need to be like put like in our own level, so then we can like all learn together in a way, like our own pace, because like I feel like, yeah, I don't really fit in any of the groups I've been put in as of yet, because yeah, there's people that are like up here and down here, and then I'm just like somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, and you'll find that you've got people in industry, you've got people have never been in industry, so your scales are tipped. They're not balanced. So absolutely, yeah. And because I don't know who is where at this point in time, it's hard to know. Oh, if I put those together, they haven't worked in the industry. That would be good for them to be able to sit together and discuss that. Oh, these people work in industry. It would be really good for them to sit with each other and figure out those things. So if I knew what you did, I could maneuver the breakout rooms differently. But I think, Jasmine, I loved your idea of putting up in writing what I want you to do in the breakout room and leaving it there for a couple of minutes, then putting you into the breakout room. So I'm going to do that. That's really good. Because this is our last session with this unit, is there anybody wanting to sit with me for half an hour or something just to discuss what they need to do in it because they're stuck?
Yeah, possibly me.
Are you free during the day, Jasmine?
Yes, I am.
All right, okay. So would you like me to book in a time for us to sit and chat with that? That's good.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Now, my faceless people are talking to me. I love it. All right, let me just write down this. Because sometimes if I can sit with someone for maybe 20 minutes, it can be the difference between getting it done and not getting it done. And I go, let's get it done. Thanks, Trent. Well done, mate. All right. If you would, if you like to, before you leave me, and you can leave me at any time, just put in the chat how you feel now. All right. Now I'm just going to write down Grace. Right, Grace wants to, Amy. Excellent. Yeah, because I do believe sometimes we just need one little thing from the teacher and boom, we're on it again. And I think that's very, very important. All right. Good work, Jasmine. Right, and I've got your names down here. So I've written those down. Brilliant. And I will be in contact and find out the best time for us to sit and chat about what you're doing. Yeah, so that I think will be to me, it was always good to sit with the teacher and go, but what about this? What about that? And what do they want me to say in this question? Because sometimes we read a question, we don't understand it, or there's two sections to the question. It keeps coming back. Why am I getting this wrong? Because there's another section to it. When I'm marking your work, I will always tell you what's missing. I need you to talk about this, or I need you to talk about that. Give me more information on this. So you will never get it back and go, no, not satisfactory. It will be not quite there yet. I need you to do this. And then send it back in. So I will always give you what I want so you can give it to me. And then we've got the evidence. Boom, you're finished. All right, excellent, excellent. All right, so I've got a few names down there. I'll find your email addresses and I will endeavour to get in contact with you. And look, sometimes I just need to sit with you for a little while. Okay, who have I got first? Sophie, your hand's up first. Did you want to talk, Tom?
Hi, just had a question about the classes for each module. Is it 3 for each module, or does it vary? So sometimes it could be more or less.
Well, it does vary, but I look at the little chart that I've got here on my Tuesdays and I go 3 sessions for mental health. And in that, I will dissect that unit and then let you have it. I'm not going to tell you the answers, but they'll be there in an indiscreet way. So there'll be three sessions on that, but I'm going to have a look at what does the assessment look like. What is the work that I need to get from you? So I will be able to give you more of an idea of what you need to do in that. Yeah.
But in general, like, are they around 3 classes per unit-ish? Or
Ish,
not sure?
Ish.
Yeah, ish, yeah.
Ish. Yeah, the next one after that I've got down is WHS. Now there'll be role plays in that with your manual handling and things like that. There will be role plays from what I can gather. But there's only 2 sessions of that. So there's only 2 sessions. So I'll have to cram all that into 2 sessions if we can. Always go back on your PowerPoints if you need to. Your learner's guide is always good. But I think if I can give you a rundown right at the start of that new unit, I'll give you a rundown of what is needed so that you can concentrate on those things that you need to find out. It might be, oh, this one you have to research this, so you're going to have to research that. But it gives you more of a guide as to what to do. And I will also have appointments with whoever wants to in regards to anything to do with the course. And it might be, all right, well, let's spend 10 minutes and we'll do a role play just to break the ice with the role plays. Might be that. It might be that we just talk through a couple of questions. Whatever it is, don't care what it is. I'll help you do it. Yeah, good work. Amy.
Like, these role plays have been like spiraling in my head all night and not focus because I'm stuck on how do I like record it and approach it. Like, what do I say? Because I don't want to say the wrong thing and they're gonna have to say like, oh, you do it again and do it again. Because the way this role plays is stressing me out. It's doing my head inside. I just need to know, like, when you're like recording it, is it like you're interviewing someone or you're just trying to, I'm not.
Yeah, it is sort of an interview because you are supporting someone. So whatever the role play is asking you to do, you'll be doing that.
Or is it like a meeting where you give the rundown of how you're going to like assess, will help the client kind of thing?
Absolutely, absolutely. But you'll follow the role play, what they're asking you to do. So it might be that you need to give feedback to someone else, or it could be that you need to make some action plan for a person that you're supporting. But whatever needs to be done, whatever unit you're doing it, we'll read through it, go through it, and then I'll go, okay, these are the steps that you need to do to make that role play work. These are the things that I want you to talk about in that role play. And I think if you break the role play down into bits, you'll find that, okay, I've got to do the introduction. What do I do in an introduction? I do this, 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 and this. Okay, then I need to do whatever else it is in the role plays, because they're all different. So I can't sort of speak to one particular role play because they are all different. But once you get your head around what you need to do in the role plays, they're all basically the same with just different information.
Okay.
So they're not, oh, I've got to do this for this role play. Oh, and then I've got to do this for this way. You've got to do certain things, but they're similar.
Okay.
The introduction will always be the same.
Yeah.
Your conclusion at the end will usually be the same, which is, thank you. How did you go? Can I get your feedback, or whatever it might be that you do at the end? And once you've read through the different role plays, you can start to create the session. What do I need to do in this? And just break it down into bits. I might even put together before next week, and I might slip it in, because we do role plays for all of them, is maybe a just a little run sheet that I could give you to help you think about, what do I need to do in this role play?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I might make a running sheet. Now, it will be very broad because every role play is different. But I think if I can start you off, and you know, in any session that you would have with someone, the first thing is your greeting. You're building rapport.
Yeah.
You're doing all the communication stuff that you need to. You're making sure that you're making eye contact with people and things like that. But you're also taking notes at the same time as well. So I think a little running sheet on your role plays may help the ones that have never done role plays before be able to make sense of them, because sometimes they can be overwhelming.
Yeah, just like something like a little tutorial. Not a tutorial, but like at least I know like how to start and not look like a fool.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing. What do I say right at the start? But then we get stuck all the way through too. That's why our running sheet and our little agenda is good for us. Right, okay, I've spoken to them. A greeting has been there. I've asked them if they want coffee, tea, water, or anything like that. Are they comfortable enough? And then start. So it might be that rapport building at the start that you need to do. Some are a continuation of the role play, so some things won't need to be done, but then we've really got to dissect that role play and just figure out what needs to be done with it. Good work.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Vicky.
No, my pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And I think if I sit and chat with you, and I've got all your names down, look out, you'll be getting a call. I will be able to help you through what it is. And look, if we do a little mock role play, it may help you with, oh, okay, never thought of that. Oh, all right, I should be doing that. Okay, because we do get stuck, and then we get brain block, and we freeze because all the adrenaline has just come out in our body and we've just shut down.
Yeah.
So I think if we can talk you through some of the things that we need to do in the role plays, it will put you more at ease. And we don't, if we know you've never done role plays before, we're not going to judge you on how well you've done it being your first one. But practice is really good. Believe it or not, sitting in front of the mirror and talking to someone when you're looking at yourself is a really good way of going, oh, what the heck is my face doing when I'm saying that? You know, and you can actually look and see what your body language and your facial expressions are doing when you're trying to talk to someone for the first time. It's we forget about, we go into body language, but we forget about facial expressions, which is what most people are looking at, is your face. So we have to be careful that we don't look grumpy, upset, annoyed, not interested. So we've got to make sure that our face reflects what we want it to reflect. And that's about looking in the mirror and going, right, okay, when I said that, I'm looking away, or I'm not doing what I need to. Yeah, good. Good work. Okay, now, don't think you were supposed to put your email addresses in there. And I think Vicky went a bit silly about that last week, but that's all right. We'll sort that out. I think I have to get rid of it. I'll just write it quickly, then remove it. All right, where are you? 7 at. Yeah, and I think doing a couple of one-on-ones with you will give you more self-confidence to do it. Because when you haven't done something and then somebody's watching you do something you've never done before, it's intimidating, absolutely intimidating. So I think if I can work you through it, just a one-on-one to me would be beneficial. And because you've got role plays all the time, I believe it would be the best thing that I could do for you.
Because then it'll shake off the nerves.
Sorry, Dal?
I said it'll shake off the nerves and the
it will. Yeah. Because if we don't do it and we put it off, we're not facing our fears, and we need to do that. We need to do that. We just need to go, right, okay, this is what I need to do. Because if you find it hard to do something in a group setting, you'll find it just as hard on a one-on-one. Yeah, thanks. Right, now I've just got to, and I think I can as the host. Let me have a look. Okay. This is going to look really bad, Kristen, but I'm actually deleting your post because it's got your email in it.
No, that's right. Sorry, my laptop died, so I'm doing it off my phone. I thought I sent it directly to you. I'm so sorry if it went to everyone else. I'm sorry.
No, I've got it down. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so people are happy for me to do that, spend half an hour with you at some stage or other and just go, boom, this is what we do. All right, excellent. Thanks, Jay. All right, very good. Okay, 8:45. So if you need to leave, happy for you to go. I'm happy to stay till 9. So if anybody has anything else that they would like to discuss, happy to do that. Happy to do that. How did you find tonight, guys? Was I all right?
Yeah, you were great.
Oh,
yeah.
Look, I can hear the crickets, so thank you.
No, you were great. Thank you.
Good work. And if I can help you, I'll be even greater. Okay?
Always.
Yeah. And well, that's what I'm here for. So to me, if I can't put you on the right track with something, what am I doing? What am I doing here in front of you? So very, very happy to do that. So if any of you want to reach out, and I was allowed to put my email in there, you're more than welcome. Good. Thank you. Yeah, good work. All right. I'm happy to stay, but if you want to go, you're more than welcome to. But if anybody's got anything else that they would like to discuss, happy to do that too.
I'm just in the middle of like I'm finished eating, but just give me one moment. Sorry.
All right.
Thank you,
Like,
Vicky.
it's very helpful.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'll get better. I will get better.
I've got about I think 4 weeks left of my mental health course, which also is on a Tuesday night. That's why I came in late. But then after that, I should be here by 6. So
it's all right. Adult learning. You don't even have to come if you don't want to. I don't take a attendance record. So what?
Awesome.
Okay.
No, all good. Thank you.
It's all good. Yeah. Take what you need. Take what you need, but I'll have more.
Yes. Hi. I'm back. So excuse me for that. I was like munching.
It's tea time.
If I am really when I hear everyone speaking about their role plays and their units and all this, I feel like still extremely new, and I'm still I would like, I would like to have like a moment or a Zoom meeting with someone who can take some time and help me navigate like the online portal, just because like the learner guide, I've come across it, the learner's guide, but I honestly get mixed between once I start opening pages, like, and the trail keeps going on, I somehow get lost. So, I know I've come, but I don't know where to find, and also it's like the assessments and like, so this is, the class before this Tuesday or before with the other Vicky. So that was my very first one doing any of this, and I'm still getting very familiar with it and making sense of everything.
Yeah.
And it's a bit, I mean, at this point, it's not even overwhelming anymore, because it was overwhelming at the first part because I felt like I was like, I haven't figured it out. But now, a month later, I'm like, okay, I'm eventually going to get it, so don't stress. But with the assessments, is it all the answers, are they in the modules, or from what we learn in or from what we gain in the Zoom meetings?
Good question, Crystal. I can do a Zoom with you and then share the portal with you and show you the things in it.
Okay.
Might even be a good session to have, is to go through, right, this is where you find this is where you find that, this is where you find something else.
Yes.
So I've got your name down,
okay.
And I will try and organize that.
Yeah, I mean, because I would definitely just, I mean, I obviously kind of I play around with it kind of from here to here, and despite I get lost, I also want to understand the assessments of role playing, and because all I hear role play every time, and I was like, what role plays? But,
come across them yet?
Yes. I mean, I see a few. I mean, I saw like one or two, right? But when I heard 26 role plays, I'm like, wait, I'm sorry, what? So
because the girls are super cool, and they're doing so much. And they've left their role plays to sort of the end of everything.
And I kind of still don't understand that entirely as well, like how, because I just finished one role play and I'm like, well, the class already finished, and I feel like I'm stressing because I haven't done that role play. And I personally feel like if I don't even want to move on to the next class before I finish those. So right now I'm still understanding the whole process as well. Yeah. So if people are waiting like months later, then I'm like, there's pros and cons to that, but
absolutely, because you forget what you've learned. We don't retain it all. Doctors look up stuff all the time, so we don't retain it all. We can't, as humans, we can't, unless we've got a photographic memory.
Yeah.
So, Crystal, I think the best thing there is for us to sit down and go through it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. and just sort of learn as we go.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I think if I can break it up, it will be better. I'm of the opinion I don't like to start another unit until I've finished the last one. But I think you've got 3 weeks after you finish that unit to complete your role play.
Right.
Then you're studying another unit, and it's like, oh, okay, I've got another unit to do, and it's completely different from, well, it's not. You will always have to engage respectfully with young people, regardless, or whether it's a mental health unit or whatever else it is. And they all really interrelate to one another at some stage. Your work health and safety, it relates to engaging respectfully with young people in their safety. Your mental health also relates to that.
and WHS, you know, we can end up with an injury that can give us a mental health issue because of workplace health and safety. So they do all intertwine with each other. But I think if I can teach you how to move around on the platform, you will feel easier doing it. And to me, if you've done the work, do the role play, because you've got that information already in your mind. Do the role play.
Yeah,
It's all there. Have an agenda. Have a little spiel of what you want to say in that.
right.
Yeah, we'll get you through, Crystal. Don't you worry.
Okay.
And it is daunting. Study is daunting. No matter what you study is daunting.
Yeah.
And learning new platforms and new ways of doing things in every RTO is a little bit different from the last one. Need to practice. But
Yeah.
it's so nice to be shown. Okay?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah,
we'll do that.
when I had a phone call with Vicky last time, she put it in a great way, and she said that to me, I still see it in an abstract way, which is so true, because when you say, oh, sometimes it's difficult to learn a new platform, but then learn to study. But if I don't understand exactly what I'm studying or how it's supposed to be flowing, then I'm struggling to start. Like, I don't know where to start. So
That's exactly right. That's exactly
yeah.
right. And I think when I walk you through it, it'll be, this is what I want you to start with. And I look at it and go, the learner guide. I
Yeah.
want you to download that and have a look through that.
And I don't know where to access that. So
I'll
Do you
find
want
out.
me to
oh yeah.
just jumping on that? Do you want, if I share my screen and I can show you sort of like how I've set mine up and how to use it, would that help?
Well done. Love that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Amazing.
come on. We got time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
That's all right.
Oh, what beautiful children.
They're
Aw.
grandmas.
Oh, they're so
So
sweet. We only see two of them.
All right.
hang on.
So do you know this screen, Crystal?
Yeah, okay,
So you come into your home part.
oh yeah, the home.
There we go.
All right, up here. If you click on there, and then so for instance, this is CHCYTH013. Go that, and then if you go this part here and right click, you can open it.
Okay.
So this is your learner guide. And then if you save it, then it will save. So for instance, with mine, these are mine.
Right, okay.
And then like if you go into your YTH, then you can go your task 2. This is how I've set mine up. So that one's done. This one I'm still waiting to do a role play on. So then I put my role plays in here.
Beautiful.
And then like for instance, this one, you've got these and you can go in and you can do, and then these are all my referrals that I've done for that. So just like keep it. I find it easier to put them in files.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love the
And then like
organization.
these are all the units that I've finished as well.
Wow. Okay, so
So
these are all the units. Okay.
these
And
are all the units here. I've got these ones left.
right. And there's 17 units that you're correct for the use word? Because it says up top, right?
Yeah.
Up top. Oh, wait. So okay, all of these, those are units, right? All the green, every tab is a unit.
Yeah. So
And
we're up to here.
okay.
At the moment.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for these to go green, to be honest. I've done them all, but
Oh, I see
they're
what
not.
you mean by that. I
Yeah.
reckon they have to let you
Like
in.
none of them are green. That one I'm
You
still
done them?
doing. That one I've just started. That one I haven't started.
Oh, okay. So how?
Okay, I'll find out what the colours. Well, green is completed. Yellow is in progress.
And that's the same with the community service as well. Like I think I've got
Look
heaps
at
that
you
are still
studying. Well done.
Yeah,
like these ones are all finished, but they're just yellow. I don't know why.
Have they been marked?
Yeah.
Okay.
These ones have been
That's some
marked.
big progress then. If they've been marked, somebody needs to tick a box somewhere down.
Okay, see,
I
hold
think
on,
it's the
so
workshop.
the workshop. Okay, what are the workshops? See, this is where sometimes
That's a class.
a workshop
that's-
are the classes like the Zoom online Zooms.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go into, for instance, tonight's one,
Oh,
So into that unit.
yeah.
yeah. So you've got here,
Okay,
and
so
then you can click into, say, your workshop, which this is tonight, your Tuesday class.
yeah.
Your resources, you can find your learner guide and your role play instructions and stuff here as well.
Okay.
I
Uh,
don't know what this is. I don't use it.
so you're in.
Don't worry about that. That's your learner guide as well. But the
Learning-
easier one, if you download the other one,
Wait,
you
hold
can
on. What
keep
did,
it.
okay, what did you just say to forget about the learning materials? Or
Yeah,
There's nothing in
because
there.
the learning materials is the same as the learner guide.
right. Okay, hold on. I see. Oh, that's my mouse. Okay.
And
Mel,
then
can
you've
you
got
go
your
into the assessment?
assessments.
Good girl. Well done. That's what I want to see.
Oh, assessments. Okay. So that's 3. That's for this one right now in prop.
Yeah, that's my one that I'm doing the role play. We need 4 people for that one, so I've got that one booked in with the group for Thursday.
Okay, and how
then you go your submitted ones.
okay, and where do you find the information for these role plays of like what is needed and what's required, what's the scenario?
Go into your resources again, Mel.
Yeah.
Oh, you might have to go
Yeah,
back.
so if you go into your I just don't want to download it again because I've got so much stuff on this computer. So for instance, for your role play, you've got your
okay, one of those, right.
So this is what it will look like.
So it's task 3, A and B.
Okay, I have one right.
Good work.
Okay.
So for instance, like the task 2 one.
Okay, so once you read through this, you know what to do, then all like the
That's your
information.
role play instructions.
Right.
And then you've got I don't know what these are. Oh, that's just a recording. That's just a recording.
So, but and all the information.
That's just a recording, my bad.
No, but all the information that you need to know how to do the assessments and the role plays all comes from all from the readings that you learn from the learner's guide and from where were the modules? Or wasn't there some
that is the same. So the modules.
Yeah, from
what people are talking about with the modules.
Yeah, or I don't know. I hope
That's the learning material. I don't do mine.
Well,
Module
so
is
what is
also called a
this?
unit.
They're
too.
not actually marked. I started to do them, but they open up and they separate them.
Yeah.
And it is exactly the same as the learner guide. So for instance, I'll try and find this one.
Are you saying when it's the same thing? Because but these are not you don't
So this
have to
one,
do these. Is that
one
what
of 4.
Right.
If you click into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't even work. There you go. It doesn't even work.
Right. Okay, but
It's the same as the learner guide.
Okay, but in the when you say it's the same as the learner's guide, in the learner's guide, it seems like I want to consider it like the textbook, right? Like it's like the textbook to the class. And
Yeah.
these modules, do they just break up the slides into the main points and then give you a quiz at the end? Or are you
Pretty
like,
much.
okay, but would you say that well, I suppose I'll have to look at it both, but I want to know if it's like the same is it the same
It is.
information or is it the same pages? Like literally you're not missing
It
anything?
is literally the same.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay, so all
I'm
these,
just trying to find one that will work.
okay, but all these are
There you
the
go.
workshops. Are those considered workshops?
Yeah. All right. So this one is the CDE one. So this is what
Yeah,
it looks like on that
This
one.
is yes, this is the one that I did just before this
Yeah.
one with, okay.
So this is what it looks like
Correct.
for the 5th module part. And then if you go into the learner guide, and I'm guessing the 5th will be the end. Hang on. Advocacy.
Now, okay, did you find, oh,
So it is literally
the same, yeah, and
the same.
right, but
It's
instead
the
of
same stuff.
okay, and once you read once you read the textbook, you have a better understanding to do the role play, and then everything makes sense, and then you should just be able to like say, hey, now you know how to do it, now do it. Is this kind of how?
Not quite as simple as that.
I kind of,
You're on the right track, Crystal.
Okay, I'm trying to put it in layman, like in terms where I'm like, all right, Crystal, because I need to break it down, like, and then at the very simple. So it's starting to make sense to me now. So all these quizzes, they're not mandatory, but they're going to help you in the assessment quiz.
yeah, it helps you to understand what you're doing.
Okay,
pretty much,
and
but it's not getting marked.
but so you've taken some assessment quizzes as well as some of have you taken these module quizzes? Would you say that they go really hand in hand, or if you really just read it, it should be able to pass the assessment?
My first unit, I almost did a book of notes and did all of these ones, thinking that was my assessments, and wasted, I reckon, about 2 weeks to realize that I hadn't actually started an assessment.
Yeah, exactly. So I felt like that was kind of happening to me, and I was unsure.
I think everyone does it.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, because I'd rather just go to read the learner's guide, read it thoroughly, and then, I mean, I can just come back to these and go to the quizzes. And if I really understood it, like, I mean, they're 5 questions. It takes like, and then I suppose, I don't know. I'm learning the way.
Yeah. It's
okay.
I don't know. I just don't find a reason to do them. Like, it's every person to their own, though. If you want to do them, do them.
Yeah,
I personally don't.
So the assessments, but the assessments that we actually do, all the information is in the learner's guide.
Yes, most of it.
Some
of it, I think, is common sense,
but not much.
Okay. Okay, so I think, what other questions that I have? Now that I'm looking at yours, I'm like, okay, where did I get lost? So that's a difference. Oh, you're doing, okay, so okay, right there where your math certificate 4 in youth work, because learning.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Is that what we just were? Learning.
That's the learning material. That's the stuff.
Oh,
you want
These are the modules for all the open units that you're currently enrolled in, correct?
Yeah, I don't know.
23
Probably
of
because I haven't finished them and I haven't started them.
Right, but I think it's
They
only for the
are
units
the
that are
learning
open.
bits.
Good work.
Yeah.
Well done.
The ones that are just the units are
Okay.
here.
Okay,
So
and
these
what-
are the ones that count.
Right. Okay, and what happens if you don't finish the assessment within the time frame that you're supposed to? Like, so because if you have 3 weeks, I think it's, yeah, I think it's however long the unit is how long you have to take it, do the assessment. So that's 3 weeks for my previous unit. So if I don't do it, what happens?
Well, I think you've got time to do it, but speak to well, Vicky mainly, so that you can make sure that she knows that you're behind.
I am very behind. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll see, okay.
But you'll get there, Crystal. You'll get
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I just feel that it's because I don't understand it. I think Vicky put it in a really great way when she's like, I see everything's like abstract to me. And I've been trying, I think it's also because this is the very first time I ever do like any online learning. And it's kind of driving me a little crazy not being able to look and have someone where I can be like, point something out or like, oh, this or that. So it's all kind of new to me personally.
And we don't know what we don't know, Crystal. So well done for asking. Good
Yeah.
work.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
All right.
Excellent
So,
stuff.
I mean, that alone this alone just already helps me so much because now
Yep.
I've been procrastinating since I started. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start reading. Or I don't know about the role plays, but I know there's obviously something that I have to read. But then I look at it, I'm like, where do I start reading? What am I like? I don't want to waste time and read something I don't need, or I'm still trying to figure out that structure. But once I figure it out, I feel, I mean, not to boast so much about myself, I do feel kind of confident that it will kind of come naturally to me once once I get an idea. You know, that's how I feel. That's how I'm feeling, and that's not to jinx it, but I'm really hoping that's how this journey begins and goes.
No, you get it, Crystal. You will get it done. You only have to go through one to go, okay, the next one is similar. It's different, but similar. So
The
it worked out.
first role play I ever did.
Thank you. Yeah, thank
was
you.
so awkward. It was ridiculous. Like the whole lot of us, we were just didn't know. And then we've kind of stuck with the same group since January. And now it's like, I've got these role plays. And we're like, right, what is it? You playing this? Okay, let's go. And we just smash them out. But because there's like 4 of us kind of doing it as well, it's like, you got, and we're doing dual courses. So it's like,
full on.
8 times as many as probably you'd be doing, because we
Absolutely.
like, say for instance you're 1, we're doing it 4 times.
Yep, absolutely.
Sort of thing.
Well, I'm just going to stop recording, ladies. So thank you.
Yep. I was